Welcome back, students. In the last lecture, we have started the colligative properties of non-electrolyte solutions. We have studied that the colligative properties depends upon the number of solutes, and we have also seen how colligative properties can be used to determine the molar mass of the solutes. In today's concluding lecture of solutions, we will cover the fourth colligative property, that is the osmotic pressure. We will also study the reverse osmosis, Vent-Off factor I, and also the relation between Vent-Off factor and degree of dissociation. Now let's get started. Let us study the fourth important colligative properties, that is the osmotic pressure. Before studying the osmotic pressure, you have to understand two terms, that is semi-permeable membrane and osmosis. Now what is this semi-permeable membrane? It is a membrane which allows the solvent molecules to pass through it but does not allow the solute molecules to pass through it. Here we are studying about the solutions, that is solute is dissolved in solvent to form a solution. Here solute is taken in small amount and solvent is taken in excess. Here the size of the solute particles is larger than the solvent molecules. So through this membrane, solvent molecules will pass through it, and being larger in size, solute molecules will not pass through it. The various type of membranes used are, that is the copper ferrocyanide, that is used in Beckley-Hartley method to measure the osmotic pressure. Various type of semi-permeable membrane, that is the cellulose nitrate, animal bladder, etc. are also used as semi-permeable membranes. When a solution is separated from a pure solvent by semi-permeable membrane, as you can see in the figure 1, the solvent molecules pass through the membrane into the solution and dilute it. If you see the second figure, the solvent flows also occurs when two solutions of different concentration are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. In this case, the direction of flow of solvent molecule is from the solution of lower concentration to the solution of higher concentration. This results in the dilution of the more concentrated solution. तो क्या सॉल्वेंट का जो फ्लो है एक ही डायरेक्शन में होगा? No, it will be in both the direction. Since the solvent molecules are on both sides, but it is found that the passage of solvent molecules into the solution in the first case or from the more dilute solution to the more concentrated solution is found greater than in reverse direction. This is because the vapor pressure of solvent is greater than that of the solution. ये हमने पहले भी पढ़ा था कि solvent में जो है वेपर प्रेशर हमेशा ज़्यादा होता है एज कंपेयर टू द सॉल्यूशन, क्योंकि सॉल्यूशन में जो सॉल्यूट पार्टिकल्स है वो नॉन वॉलेटाइल है. इसकी वजह से क्या हो जाता है, वेपर प्रेशर लो हो जाता है. सो द नेट, इसमें जो फ्लो होगा जो सॉल्वेंट से सॉल्यूशन की तरफ होगा वो हमेशा ग्रेटर होगा. So the net spontaneous flow of solvent molecules into the solution or from the more dilute solution to the more concentrated solution, that is in the second case through a semi-permeable membrane, is called as osmosis. As a result of osmosis, the amount of liquid on pure solvent side or dilute solution side decreases and amount of liquid on other side increases. This results in the decrease of concentration of the solution. The spontaneous and undirectional flow of solvent molecules through a semi-permeable membrane into the solution or flow of solvent from a solution of lower concentration to the solution of higher concentration through semi-permeable membrane is called as osmosis. Now let us try to understand the concept of osmotic pressure by simple experiment. As you can see in the figure, the apparatus consists of a long stem, that is thistle funnel. The mouth of this thistle funnel is closed by a semi-permeable membrane which is highly stretchable. Now suppose if we take the sugar solution of some concentration is then filled in the thistle funnel. The thistle funnel is then placed in a beaker containing water, that is in the inverted position. The solvent and solution are separated from each other by a semi-permeable membrane. There occurs a net flow of solvent molecules into the solution through a semi-permeable membrane. As a result, the original volume of the solution increases and the liquid level of the solution rises, as you can see here. Now, the hydrostatic pressure is developed due to the liquid column in the thistle funnel. Now, this hydrostatic pressure is given by H rho G, that is H is the height of the liquid column, rho is the density, and G is the acceleration due to gravity. However, due to osmosis, solvent molecules from the beaker enter into the thistle funnel through semi-permeable membrane. The liquid level in the thistle funnel tube rises until the excess pressure so produced is sufficient to stop the flow of solvent molecules. The excess pressure on the side of the solution that stops the net flow of solvent into the solution through the semi-permeable membrane is called as osmotic pressure. Now, it should be clear that the osmotic pressure is not the pressure produced by the solution. It exists only when the solution is separated from the solvent by a semi-permeable membrane. And one more drawback of this experimental arrangement is that the entry of solvent into the solution causes its dilution and concentration changes. So, to improve that, the experimental setup must have the arrangement for applying an external mechanical pressure. यदि हम बाहर से mechanical pressure को अप्लाई करेंगे, so there is no flow of solvent and the concentration remains unchanged. So यहाँ इसको हम लोग इस तरह से भी डिफाइन कर सकते हैं. The external pressure applied to stop osmosis is the measure of osmotic pressure. So it can be also defined as the excess mechanical pressure which must be applied on the side of the solution to stop the flow of solvent molecules through semi-permeable membrane into the solution. That is known as osmotic pressure. Now, depending upon the osmotic pressure, the solutions can be categorized into three types, that is the isotonic solution, hypertonic solution and hypotonic solution. Now, isotonic solutions. Two or more solutions having same osmotic pressure are said to be isotonic solution. Here pi 1 will be equals to pi 2. For example, if we take 0.1 molar urea solution and 0.1 molar of sucrose solution, they are isotonic. Why? Because their osmotic pressures are equal. Such solutions have the same molar concentration. This is very important. Here the osmotic pressure will be equals to, that is pi 1 equals to pi 2, and here molar concentration, that is M1 will be equals to M2. But they will be having the different concentration in grams per liter. If these solutions are separated by a semi-permeable membrane, there is no flow of solvent in either direction. Second type is the hypertonic solution. If two solutions are having unequal osmotic pressure, the more concentrated solution with higher osmotic pressure is said to be hypertonic solution. Hyper means ज़्यादा, इस तरह से आप लोग याद रख सकते हो. The more dilute solution exhibiting the lower osmotic pressure is said to be hypotonic solution. If we take an example of sucrose solution, if osmotic pressure of sucrose solution is higher than that of the urea solution, the sucrose solution is the hypertonic to the urea solution, and the urea solution is hypotonic to the sucrose solution. So this is very important. Sometimes for 1 marks it is asked in the examination. वेंटॉफ ने ऑस्मोटिक प्रेशर डेटा को एनालाइज किया और पता किया कि यहाँ पे देर आर सिमिलैरिटीज़ बिटवीन द प्रॉपर्टीज़ ऑफ गैसेस एंड द प्रॉपर्टीज़ ऑफ सॉल्यूशन. इसके आधार पे उन्होंने थियोरी ऑफ सॉल्यूशंस दिया. अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस थ्योरी, द सॉल्यूट मॉलिक्यूल्स इन डाइल्यूट सॉल्यूशंस हैव काइनेटिक एनर्जी एंड मूव इन रैंडम डायरेक्शन इन द सॉल्यूशन एंड बिहेव लाइक अ गैस मॉलिक्यूल्स. On collision against semi-permeable membrane, the solute molecules exerts osmotic pressure equal to the pressure which the solute molecules would exert if it were a gas molecules at the same temperature and occupying the same volume as the solution. So the gas laws, that is the ideal gas equation PV equals to nRT, can be applied to this. Here PV equals to nRT, so in place of P we can take the osmotic pressure pi. So the equation will become pi V equals to nRT. Now for a very dilute solution, the osmotic pressure follows the equation, that is pi equals to N2 RT upon V, where V is the volume of the solution in dm cube containing N2 moles of non-volatile solute. Here R is the gas constant and its value is 0.08206 dm cube, atmosphere per Kelvin per mole, and pi is the osmotic pressure. Now this term N2 upon V is the concentration and it can be expressed in terms of molarity. Here why we have taken molarity? As we know, in this the temperature is kept constant, so the term molarity can be used in place of molality. So the equation will be pi equals to mRT. Now from this we can calculate the molar mass of solute. How? Let us see. Pi equals to N2 RT upon V. Here mass of the solute, that is W2, and V is the volume in liters of the solution and its molar mass is M2. Then N2 will be equals to W2 upon M2. Putting this value, we will get pi equals to W2 RT upon M2V, or M2 will be equals to W2 RT upon pi V. From this we can calculate the molar mass of the solute. Now here we use the term, here also the number of solute is taken, so this will be a colligative property. Now we have learnt that the net flow of solvent through a semi-permeable membrane into the solution is called as osmosis, and the excess of pressure on the side of the solution that stops the net flow of the solvent into the solution is called as osmotic pressure. Now this direction of osmosis can be reversed by applying a pressure larger than the osmotic pressure. Here the pure solvent then flow from the solution into the pure solvent through semi-permeable membrane. This phenomena is called as reverse osmosis. Now as you can see in the figure, here fresh water and salty water are separated by a semi-permeable membrane. When the pressure larger than the osmotic pressure of the solution is applied to the solution, pure water from the salty water passes into the fresh pure water through a semi-permeable membrane. By this way we can get the pure drinking water from the salty water. कैन यू गिव वन मोर एग्जाम्पल ऑफ द रिवर्स ऑस्मोसिस? जैसे कि हमारे घर में सबके घर में प्यूरीफायर होते हैं, ठीक है, इसमें भी सब इस रिवर्स ऑस्मोसिस टेक्निक से ही वो काम करता है. Now we know that electrolytes are the salts that can ionize completely in solution and they readily conduct electricity. And non-electrolytes are those that do not dissociate into ions and they do not conduct electricity. Till now, we have learnt that the non-electrolytes like urea, glucose, etc., they exhibit colligative properties like lowering of vapor pressure, elevation in boiling point, depression in freezing point, and osmotic pressure. And we have taken very dilute solutions here, and here the solute do not associate or dissociate and they remain in the normal molecular conditions. These solutions of non-electrolytes do not conduct electricity. So here the colligative properties of the solution of non-volatile solute depends upon the number of solute particles. So we can say here that the colligative property is directly proportional to the number of solute particles. And we have derived an equation relating to the colligative properties to the molecular mass. हमने इन लोग के लिए equations derive किया जिससे हम लोग ने molecular mass कैसे calculate करते हैं वो भी हमने देखा. Now using this equation it is possible to calculate the molecular masses. ये equations को use करके हम लोग molecular mass of non-electrolyte solute को कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं. यहाँ पे कंडीशन क्या है? सॉल्यूशंस हमको बहुत डाइल्यूट लेना है और वो डिसोशिएट या एसोशिएट नहीं होना चाहिए. इफ यू ऑब्जर्व द इक्वेशन it is clear that this colligative properties is inversely proportional to the molar mass. ये इक्वेशन देखेंगे तो इसमें हमको क्लियरली पता चल रहा है कि colligative property जो है वो inversely proportional है molar mass of the solute के. Now this is all true for the non-electrolyte. ये जितना भी हमने पढ़ा है ये सब हम लोग ने किसके लिए पढ़ा है? non-electrolyte solute के लिए. Now when this was applied to the electrolytes, it has been observed that the colligative properties are either exceptionally high or lower than the theoretically expected value of colligative properties that is exhibited by the solution of non-electrolyte of the same concentration. ठीक है, तो यही जब हम लोग ने जो नॉन इलेक्ट्रोलाइट में जो कॉलिगेटिव प्रॉपर्टी को स्टडी किया था, जब इसको हमने इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स में स्टडी किया तो यहाँ पे हमको वेरिएशन दिखा. यहाँ पे कहीं पे हायर दिखा और कहीं पे लोअर दिखा. ये कभी हायर और लोअर दिखेगा ये हम लोग आगे पढ़ेंगे. तो इसको अभी यदि नॉन इलेक्ट्रोलाइट ये जो कॉलिगेटिव प्रॉपर्टीज़ है यदि इसको हम लोग को इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स के लिए अप्लाई करना है तो इसको हम लोग को क्या करना पड़ेगा? मॉडिफाई करना पड़ेगा. Clear? So here what we will do, so to apply this equation to the electrolytes we have to modify this equation by introducing a term called I, that is small I, which is called as a Vent-Off factor, so that this can be applied to the electrolytes. Vent-Off factor I is defined as a ratio of the observed colligative property of the solution to the theoretically calculated colligative property of the solution without considering the molecular change. The Vent-Off factor can be represented as I equals to observed value of colligative property upon theoretical value of the colligative property. Here I equals to this first one, this is for the vapor pressure lowering, the second is for the elevation in boiling point, then this is for the depression in freezing point, the fourth one that is for the osmotic pressure, and the fifth one that we consider the molecular mass. Now, as I said that in case of solutions of electrolytes, colligative properties are either higher or lower than the theoretically expected value. Now let us try to understand how it happens. First, in case of dissociation, when a solute of acid, base or salts, when dissolved in solvent, it dissociates to produce the particles in the form of ions. Here the number of particle increases. Let us see how. Here some examples are given, that is HCl. HCl when dissociates it forms H plus ion and Cl minus ion. Okay, here the number of particles that is in the before dissociation, that is 1. When it dissociates, the number of particle increases, that becomes 2. Similarly for the potassium sulfate, if you see here, there is only one particle of potassium sulfate, but when it dissociates it forms the 3 particles are there. Okay, similarly for the aluminum chloride, when it dissociates 4 particles are formed. So here the molar mass of the particle molar mass increases after dissociation. Now we know that Van 't Hoff factor is the observed colligative property upon the theoretical colligative property. Now let us take an example of HCl. Here HCl after dissociation it forms H plus and Cl minus ion. Okay, so here the theoretical value it will be according to the 1 particle. Okay, so what it will 1 particle, and after dissociation it forms the 2 particles. Okay, now putting this value, observed colligative property, here observed value is what it is, observed value is 2, but the theoretically it is 1. So I equals to 2 upon 1, that comes out to be 2. Here if you see there is a increase in the value of I. I is greater than 1. Now here what will happen, because colligative property is directly proportional to the number of solutes. So here what will happen, the number of solute, the quantity, that is solute quantity of the solute particles will increase, and obviously colligative property will also increase because both are directly proportional. Now this colligative property is inversely proportional to molar mass. So here the molar mass will decrease. So in case of dissociation, there will be an increase in the molar mass, there will be a increase in the value of colligative property, and there will be a decrease in the molar mass. Now let us see what will happen when the association takes place. In some known polar solvents, 2 or more molecules of the solutes associate to form the bigger molecules, that is they form a dimer. Okay, some examples we can take, that is the acetic acid, benzoic acid, etc. Now here see, when acetic acid is dissolved in benzene, here a dimer is formed. Okay, initially if you theoretical value, what it will become, because it has the 2 molecules. Okay, now when it dissociates, it combines, it associates, so here the number of particles decreases. Okay, it becomes, here the number of solute particles are reduced to almost half if you see. Okay, so here what will be the value of I? I will be equals to, it is less than 1. So what will happen to the now quantity of the solute? Obviously the quantity of solute particles will decrease. So there will, and the colligative property will also decrease because both are directly proportional. And molar mass will increase because colligative property is inversely proportional to molar mass. Okay, now this I we can also express in respect to the molar mass. So here we can write I equals to theoretical molar mass upon the observed molar mass. Now hope you have understood by this that when I is equal to 1, that will be for the non-electrolyte solution. Okay, and for the electrolyte solution, if dissociation takes place, the value of I will be greater than 1. and when the association takes place, the value of I will be less than 1. Now we have studied the colligative properties of the electrolyte, considering that the electrolytes are completely dissociated in their aqueous solutions. Now this is true for the solutions of the strong electrolytes which dissociates completely, and not for the weak electrolytes that dissociates to a very small extent. The weak electrolytes involves the concept of degree of dissociation that changes the Van't-Hoff factor. Now let us see how. Consider an electrolyte AXBY dissolved in a solvent, and it undergoes dissociation into X ions of AY plus and Y ions of BZ minus. Now, if we take 1 mole of electrolyte, initially 1 mole of electrolyte will be present because there is no dissociation. At equilibrium stage, because it is a weak electrolyte, it will not dissociate completely. Now, if alpha is the degree of dissociation of the electrolyte, then the moles of cations that will be X alpha and those of the anions will be Y alpha moles. Now we have dissolved just 1 mole of electrolyte initially. Now here alpha moles of electrolyte dissociates, that means 1 minus alpha mole will remain undissociated at the equilibrium because it is a weak electrolyte. So here 1 minus alpha will remain in the solution. Now total moles of after dissociation, that will be 1 minus alpha plus X alpha plus Y alpha. Here this will be equals to 1 plus alpha in the bracket X plus Y minus 1. On further solving, 1 plus alpha in the bracket N minus 1. Now what is this N? This is equals to X plus Y, that is the moles of ions obtained from the dissociation of 1 mole of electrolyte. The Van't-Hoff factor is given by actual moles of particles in the solution after dissociation upon moles of formula units dissolved in solution. Here the I will be equals to 1. Okay. Now 1 plus alpha N minus 1 upon 1. On further solving, from this we can get I equals to 1 plus alpha N minus 1, or alpha will be equals to I minus 1 upon N minus 1. By like this we can calculate the degree of dissociation from the Van't-Hoff factor. Now let us solve one numerical. Here 0.03 molar aqueous solution of potassium ferricyanide freezes at 0.186 degrees Celsius. Calculate the percentage dissociation of solute. Kf for water is given, that is 1.86 Kelvin kg per mole. So here first we have to calculate the delta TF theoretical. Delta TF observed is given. We have to calculate the delta TF theoretical, and putting this value we have to calculate the Van't-Hoff factor I. Okay. Now because if you want to calculate the percentage dissociation, first you have to know the Van't-Hoff factor I. So by putting the value of I, that is equals to delta TF observed upon delta TF theoretical, you will get 3.334. Now for this potassium ferricyanide here, when it dissociates, here the number of particles that is formed, that is 4. So here alpha equals to I minus 1 upon n minus 1. So putting this value, this 4, we will get 3.334 minus 1 upon 4 minus 1. On further solving, we will get 0.778. Now we have to calculate the percentage. So we will multiply it with 100. So finally we will get 77.8 percentage. So the percentage dissociation will be 77.8. Like this we have to solve the numerical. Now let us summarize the topic. In this lecture we have done the osmosis. It is the spontaneous flow of solvent molecules from dilute solution to the concentrated solution through a semi-permeable membrane or from solvent to the solution. Then the excess pressure applied on the side of the solution to stop osmosis is called as the osmotic pressure. We have also learned the reverse osmosis, the phenomena of passage of solvent like water under high pressure from the concentrated aqueous solution like sea water into pure water through a semi-permeable membrane is called as the reverse osmosis. Then Van 't Hoff observed the resemblance between the properties of gases with that of the solutions. Accordingly, he modified the ideal gas equation, that is equals to pi V equals to nRT. Now we have studied the equation for the non-electrolyte solution. If the solute associates or dissociates in the solution, the abnormal colligative properties were observed. To obtain the colligative properties of electrolyte solution by using the relation for non-electrolytes, Van 't Hoff has suggested the factor that is known as Van 't Hoff factor. By using this factor, we can apply the we can modify the equation by adding this Van 't Hoff factor I, and we can use this equation for the electrolyte solution. Then when this Van 't Hoff factor I can be used for the electrolytes that dissociates completely, that is for the strong electrolytes. If it has to be applied to the weak electrolytes, then the degree of dissociation should be taken into consideration. So here we have derived a relation between the Van 't Hoff factor and degree of dissociation also. So we come to an end of this chapter solution. Hope you all are growing by learning. Thank you.